How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, it's one of them type of videos. You really need to go get your shit. It's going to be real juicy, like real juicy. Oh, yes, my royal family. Very juicy. Now, I have some videos to show y'all. I have an article to read, and I'm going to read the juicy parts of the article. And I got a bonus video, my royal family. You need to lean all up in it. Or you going to know when that video pop up. It's epic. It's juicy. And what I'm going to present to the royal family, we're going to start seeing more of this type of behavior and reality. So first, what I'm going to do, my royal family, we're going to start out with a video, and then after the video, I will read the article. So let's get all up in the juiciness, my royal family. You got your shit? I'm stalling as much as I can. I got mine's on full deck. Juiciness. My goodness. All right, my royal family, but y'all already know you should have, like the weed rolled up, the drink, on chill, because when True Royal pop up, I always make it juicy. I'm good like that. So my royal family, we see a pig, seem like he's struggling. Now, was he struggling when he killed our king with his royal babies here? Was he struggling then? He didn't give a damn whatsoever. So let's go on this journey, my royal family.
Been guilty of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter in the second degree, a Class E felony. As to count 2, the unclassified felony of armed criminal action, the court finds the defendant guilty.
Guilty on all charges. Thank you for joining us here at 4. I'm Carolyn Long. A Jackson County judge you just heard there found a Kansas City police detective guilty of involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. In the shooting...
What happened here? Let's do that back over. Some jankiness popping off. Let's try that back over.
Been guilty of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter in the second degree, a Class E felony. As to count 2, the unclassified felony of armed criminal action, the court finds the defendant guilty.
Guilty on all charges. Thank you for joining us here at 4. I'm Carolyn Long. A Jackson County judge you just heard there found a Kansas City police detective guilty of involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action in the shooting death of a black man outside of his home. Eric DeValcanair will be sentenced for the 2019 killing of Cameron Lamb at a later date. And KCTV5 stands for you. We've been following this trial since it began, and we have team coverage for you this afternoon. Greg Payne, Betsy Webster, and Emily Rittman were all there at the Jackson County Courthouse when the verdict was read and are covering every angle of that decision and the reaction to it. Emily, we'll start here with you. You were inside that courtroom today. What was the reaction that you saw?
That courtroom was filled with emotion. As soon as the judge said guilty, members of Cameron Lamb's family, including his mother, began to cry. Eric DeValcanair's family members were also emotional as the judge announced his decision.
Cameron Lamb's mother, Lori Bay, was so overcome with emotion that she could barely stand. Supporters of the Lamb family clapped and cheered as they left the courtroom.
We got justice for Cameron Lamb.
The defendant, Detective Eric DeValcanair's family, also cried as the verdict was read aloud in the courtroom. DeValcanair and his defense team did not comment as they left the courtroom. Judge J. Dale Young said he reached a guilty verdict because DeValcanair and his partner were the initial aggressors and were not acting in self-defense when they followed Lamb onto private property. Judge Young says that they did not have permission to be on the property, did not have a warrant, and were not making an arrest. He said they did not have exigent circumstances because the chase Lamb was involved in had ended.
When defendant followed Sergeant Schwam into the backyard of 4154 College and engaged Cameron Lamb, ultimately shooting and killing him, He did so without considering or being aware of the substantial and unjustifiable risks associated with his conduct, including, but not limited to, the fact that Sergeant Schwam and he were unlawfully on the property, that they were both escalating a situation that previously had de-escalated, and that their actions created or exacerbated the risk.
Jackson County Prosecutor Jean Peters Baker spoke briefly after the verdict.
Today is justice, but there is no real victors in a case like this. And I acknowledge that for how people may see this case very divided, that I thought this was a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
And again, a sentencing date has not yet been set. DeValcanaire will remain free on bond pending sentencing. Reporting live, Emily.
All right, my royal family. So, I have to point out the obvious. Let's get over here. The obvious. Involuntary manslaughter. I got a problem with that. Now, I'm all happy for the guilty and all of that. And, and the judge is speaking with compassion. But we know it's going to be some shit in the game at the end of the day, okay, because the judge is going to sentence him, and the judge did judge him too as well. Well, I have an article to read, so I don't want to lose sight of that, even though I'm saying it's juicy and we're going to lean all up in it, because, you know why I'm saying this is juicy, because, we always hearing they are not guilty. Let's see here. Let me see. Okay. So, prosecutors and defense attorney made their closing arguments Friday afternoon in the trial of a Kansas City city police officer charged with involuntary manslaughter. That was straight up murder. And armed criminal action of the 2019 fatal shooting of Cameron Lamb. Judge J. Dale Youngs will decide if Eric DeValcanaire, that's the best I can pronounce his name, is guilty or innocent of charges he faced. Judge Young took the case under advisement Friday afternoon. He said he will deliberate while doing his best not to delay a decision. During closing arguments, prosecutors told the judge he must find DeValcanaire guilty because he did not have permission or warrant to enter private property where he shot and murdered. Now I'm adding my part, okay? Lamb. Prosecutors argued a car chase Lamb was involved in had ended before the shooting. He fully endorsed the ideal, the legal ability that the officer have to use force in a deadly situation when they drop in the middle of a chaotic situation. That what's that for? They can use force when they have to make a split-second decision. Assistant prosecuting attorney Dino Sanker said, no one gets to improperly create the danger and then escape the consequences of that choice. I truly agree with that. DeValcanaire defense attorney argued that DeValcanaire must be found innocent because the officers had reasonable suspicion and a duty to investigate Lamb because he was chasing after another vehicle driven by a woman. Lamb, that's his last name, Lamb. Okay, they claimed his speeds were from 60 to 90 miles per hour. They maintained the chase, put the woman and other drivers in danger. The defense team contained that Lamb also pointed a gun at DeValcanaire's partner, Sergeant Tony Schwam, before Lamb was shot. Now, when I was doing my investigation on this, research on this, they have throughout the trial said that it was a gun planted on him. And some of these things that you hear sound suicidal. And we know the nature of our folks, okay? So you know they gonna lie. Anyhow, you know what? I forgot to do one tiny thing that I must do. Forgive me. But one of my subscribers, damn, I hate when I do that, is the one that sent me this article, and it like opened my eyes, because I know y'all didn't want to hear about all the other BS that's going on with the especially with the trial that ended Friday. You know, the other one where they slaughtered our king, that's still going on. Oh, okay, here it is. This is the person. I want to thank Honest to Truth. Thank you for sending me this article, because I knew nothing about this case whatsoever. So again, Honest to Truth, thank you very much. So let's get back into this. So anyhow, they had reasonable suspicion, this is the defense speaking, to go on the property. Mr. Lamb made all the decisions. Okay, so they saying he made all the decisions. He chose to chase his girlfriend at speeds of 90 miles per hour. He chose to ignore Tony's commands, that's the other officer. Not Tony, Troy Schwamm's commands. Let's see here. To get out of the truck or stop the truck, defense attorneys. Don Pearson said he chose to point a gun at a fully marked police officer, Eric, that had what any reasonable officer would do. He shot Mr. Lamb to save Troy's life. Under the law, he was justified. Prosecutors and supporters of Lamb's have doubt that Lamb was holding a gun and aiming it at an officer when he was shot and killed. Okay. All right. Now that's been brought up heavily throughout this case, and then they want to bring up some other shit that I'm not going to even interject in here, because you know how they like to try to dirty us up. DeVaconeer's defense team previously played Facebook videos in the courtroom that were shared by Lamb on social media. Okay, so they want to show the pictures that he showed on social media. What does it have to do with him being murdered? I'm going to just leave it just like that, reading between the lines. Okay. So they said DeVaconeer doesn't get self-defense because he was the initial aggressor. He doesn't get self-defense because the person he was defending testified under oath that he did not even raise his gun until after the shots were fired. Snakener, that's one of the prosecutors, said nothing that Cameron Lamb did threatened Schramm. He kept his gun down. This is not a crime. It's a tragedy. The state case is a series of unproven accusation, innuendos, unreasonable interference, Pearson said. The state case was never meant for a finder of facts. It was meant for a different audience of a different reason. He had to shoot Mr. Lamb to save Troy's life. Any officer, same outcome. Judge Young said he will make, he made the announcement, and we heard the unquote announcement. Guilty, 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 juicy. Oh, I'm going to make it real juicy, my royal family, because this bonus video going to be epic. So as we continue on, my royal family, some of this may overlap a little bit, but it's necessary.
So determined, the court is compelled to further conclude that the state has met its burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Sergeant Schwamm and defendant were the initial aggressors in the encounter with Cameron Lamb on December 3rd, 2019, and had a duty to retreat from the encounter under the circumstances. The court is further compelled to find beyond a reasonable doubt that when defendant shot and killed Cameron Lamb, number one, defendant was not acting in lawful self-defense. Number two, defendant was not acting in lawful defense of Sergeant Schwam. And three, it being conceded that defendant and Sergeant Schwam were not effecting an arrest of Cameron Lamb or preventing his escape after an arrest, that defendant did not lawfully utilize deadly force as a law enforcement officer under Missouri use of force laws applicable to such officers. The court further finds from the admissible evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that when defendant followed Sergeant Schwam into the backyard of 4154 College and engaged Cameron Lamb, ultimately shooting and killing him, he did so without considering or being aware of the substantial and unjustifiable risks associated with his conduct, including, but not limited to, the fact that Sergeant Schwam and he were unlawfully on the property, that they were both escalating a situation that previously had de-escalated, and that their actions created or exacerbated the risk that what ultimately occurred would. The court concludes that this conduct was a gross deviation from the standard of care that a reasonable person would exercise in the situation and constituted criminal negligence, as that phrase is defined under Missouri law. Accordingly, as to count one, in which defendant is charged with the Class C felony of involuntary manslaughter in the first degree, the court finds the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of involuntary manslaughter in the second degree, a Class E felony. As to count two, the unclassified felony of armed criminal action, the court finds the defendant guilty. A date for sentencing will be determined after further consultation with counsel. The court will order the preparation of a sentencing assessment report. If the defendant chooses to file a motion for new trial, his deadline for doing so is extended 10 days. I will order the defendant remain free on bond pending sentencing. That will be the court's order. Counsel will withdraw their exhibits.
All right,
Good
my
luck,
royal
everybody.
family, as we continue on. Now, the next one, it's a little snippet, but I must play it, my royal family. You know, we got to have some type of joy.
Over there. This one over here.
Amen. That's all I can say is amen to that. All right. So let's listen to one of the prosecutors.
Jean Peters Baker, who is speaking right now, just moments after the decision. Let's listen in.
Say briefly, and then I'm going to not take questions at this point and head off. But I simply want to say I have a great amount of respect for the skill and legal expertise of this trial team. Perhaps every prosecutor says that, but I mean it. It was a very skilled team, and it's something that we worked very diligently and hard on for many months. And it's come with a lot of sleepless nights. As I feel after many verdicts, you know, there's a somberness that comes with all verdicts because we all leave the courthouse, someone misses someone around their dining room table, and then there's another individual that faces punishment for the harm that's been done. So I would simply say to the city and to all of those who may be listening that what we sought in this case was a just outcome, and I believe that's where we stand today. This was a legal decision. It was a legal question. I think even, a year and a half ago when I presented this case through an announcement to all of you then, that I thought this was a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And so I'll just stand behind those previous comments. There is a sentencing that will await us.
All right.
And I won't be speaking until after that.
All right. So that's the end of that, my royal family. So we finally got her full statement. Let me see here. I'll play this one too as well. escorting the family. Footage is janky. All right. So, let me see here. Did this one? Did I do this one? Oh, no. I got something else to play my royal family. Wait just a minute. So let me take something down. Something I left out. That's all right. We're going to fit it in. How we going to fit it in? Okay, let's go to this one. I wanted y'all to listen to this article. It's a little over 4 minutes.
Justice was gotten. KC officer found guilty in 2019 fatal shooting of black man. A Kansas City police detective was found guilty of manslaughter in the 2019 killing of a black man who was fatally shot in his own backyard. Jackson County Circuit Court Judge J. Dale Youngs announced his decision Friday afternoon. Eric DeValconaire, 43, was charged with first-degree involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action in the December 3, 2019, shooting of Cameron Lamb. He was convicted of second-degree involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. As people left the courtroom, family and friends of Lamb hugged and cried. Many cheered. One woman, when she heard the verdict, cried, "God is good." DeValconaire's family declined to comment, as did his defense attorney Molly Hastings. Jason Johnson, president of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund, which provided financial support for DeValconaire's legal defense, said the organization was shocked and disappointed. Jackson County Prosecutor Gene Peters Baker's politically motivated prosecution sets a dangerous precedent, he said in a statement. Police officers are not above the law, but they are entitled to be held to the same standard as all citizens, not one based on political expediency. The detective was the first white Kansas City police officer in 80 years to face a criminal trial. Just a quick word from our sponsor.
In the time before AT&T fiber internet.
Shame, shame, shame.
What did you do, love?
I ran out of internet data.
And they're making you shame walk.
No, it's just how I feel. Shame, shame.
In the time after AT&T fiber internet.
Nice to have unlimited internet data, right?
Right.
The dawn of a better internet era with AT&T fiber.
Limited availability in select areas. Check eligibility at att.com/getfiber. Restrictions apply.
The shooting death of a black man. Justice was gotten today, said Jackson County Prosecutor Gene Peters Baker. During the bench trial, which started November 8th, prosecutors and defense attorneys painted starkly different pictures of DeValconaire and the actions that transpired nearly 2 years ago. Lamb, 26, was shot after officers investigating a crash reported a red pickup chasing a purple Ford Mustang. Officers in a police helicopter spotted the truck driven by Lamb and followed the vehicle. Prosecutors said there was no evidence that anyone had dialed 911, that anyone was hurt, or that a crime had taken place when DeValconaire and another detective arrived at Lamb's home at 4154 College Avenue. Lamb was fatally wounded as he was backing a pickup into his garage, prosecutors alleged, saying it took DeValconaire 9 seconds from the time he walked from the front of the residence to the back of the house before he opened fire on Lamb. DeValconaire's conduct was reckless, action prosecutors said, and violated the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures. The state of Missouri finds it absolutely unreasonable that he did this with a loaded gun, said Assistant Prosecutor Dion Sankar. We find it unreasonable because there was no reason to enter the private residence with a gun, because there was no pressing reason pressing him to move. That was his choice. During the trial, prosecutors also alleged the crime scene was staged and evidence was planted. At the time that DeValconaire shot Lamb, he was not armed, and the gun that police said he had with him was actually inside of a staircase near the garage, prosecutors said. DeValconaire testified that moments before the shooting, he saw Lamb reach with his left hand for a handgun from his waistband and point towards his partner Troy Schwam. My focus moves from that weapon to the center of his chest, DeValconaire said. I bring my weapon and drive it towards him. And as I acquire the front sight, I discharge a round to his center mass. DeValconaire said he had a duty to protect Schwam. He also denied planting evidence, having any other officer alter evidence or change their report of the shooting. Defense attorney Dawn Parsons said that DeValconaire was given no choice when he shot Lamb. She also said DeValconaire and Schwam did not need a search warrant, probable cause, or consent to go on the property to investigate, saying under the totality of the circumstances, they can do that. Eric did what any reasonable officer would do, she said. He shot Mr. Lamb to save Troy's life. Stephen Iyamis, a retired assistant Springfield police chief and expert on police practices, testified that DeValconaire had reasonable suspicion and acted appropriately when he walked into the backyard of the residence to investigate a possible crime. Lamb's name, along with other black men killed by Kansas City police officers, was evoked last year throughout racial justice protests in Kansas City. This story was originally published November 19, 2021, 1:15 p.m.
Next article.
All right, my royal family, let me get this taken down.
Prison. KC Chiefs Learius Sneed bears a burden to break a curse.
Okay. So that article was very helpful so we could get more of a body of what went down. Truly that went down. And what I'm going to present now, my royal family, I'm going to present a bonus video and also a bonus photo. So let's look at the bonus photo. We're familiar with this, my royal family. We seen this murderous, pug-nosed ass beast last week crying on the witness stand. And we all knew what the outcome was going to be. We're not shocked. We know how the system gets down. But there is something much deeper going on, my royal family. I'll save the juiciness for last, but I got some more juiciness to present to the royal family. So, this pig denies planting evidence at the trial for the shooting. Okay, so let's hear him out.
That will direct you to our 41 weather page on kshb.com. That's where you'll be able to keep watch of the radar and get hour-by-hour forecasts, all so you can be prepared for whatever Mother Nature brings.
Well, today marks day 3 of a trial of Kansas City Police Detective Eric DeValconaire.
You'll recall he's charged with involuntary manslaughter for the shooting death of Cameron Lamb.
Court documents show a car similar to the one Lamb was driving was involved in the car chase. Police followed him. Today in court, DeValconaire described the moment he shot Lamb.
He takes his left hand with the gun, and as he brings it along, up and around the left-hand side of the steering wheel is when my focus moves from that weapon to the center of his chest. I bring my weapon from this position and drive it towards him. And as I acquire the front sight, I discharge around to his center mass.
We should note DeValconaire was not on the original witness list.
KSHB 41 News reporter Andres Gutierrez explains what else we learned from his testimony.
Everyone was wondering whether Detective Eric DeValconaire was going to take the stand or not. He did. His legal team had him lay out the moments that led up to the shooting of Cameron Lamb. Meanwhile, prosecutors tried to question his credibility. DeValconaire said that him and his partner didn't exactly know what they were walking into when they arrived to the house where Lamb was parking his truck. That truck was spotted by another detective chasing another vehicle. Although DeValconaire said he had no idea what crime they were investigating, he did believe it was potentially dangerous, adding that he had no time to get a warrant or ask for permission to go into the backyard. When he got there, he said Lamb had a pistol in between his legs underneath the steering wheel. DeValconaire got emotional as he described the moment. He says he saw Lamb bring up the gun and pointed at his partner, then Detective Shory Schwalm, then addressed the state's allegations.
I was going to ask you, did you plant evidence in this case?
No.
Did you ask anybody to change their report?
No.
Did you ask any of your cop friends to put a gun on the ground in that garage?
No.
Did you ask anybody to put Cameron Lamb's DNA on that gun?
No.
Or on the bullets in the magazine of that gun?
No, I did not.
Did you go to the morgue at any point?
No.
Did you ask any of the crime scene technicians or the medical examiner's office or the detectives in this case to put bullets in Cameron's pocket?
No.
in addition to baggies of his socks?
No.
Or any of the other evidence that we saw pictures of that were not collected at the scene? The piece of candy, the dirty Kleenex, the lug nut or tool bit. Did you have anything to do with any of that, Eric?
No.
Now, during cross-examination, the state did try to question his credibility by bringing up a case from 2006 when a circuit judge found DeValcanair wasn't to be believed based on ignoring a suspect's court request for an attorney and to assert the Fifth Amendment. We also learned it only took him 9 seconds for DeValcanair to assess the situation before pulling the trigger. The defense was planning to call another witness this afternoon, but chose not to. They do have another round of witnesses set to go on Friday morning when court resumes, and that's when we're expected to hear closing arguments. Now, we're told that the judge will not reach a verdict shortly after those closing arguments are made. Reporting in Kansas City, Andres Gutierrez, KSHB 41 News.
So, my royal family, just to let y'all know, let me check this out real quick. Let me check something out here. I'm gonna get these are just some crybaby pictures. So, just to let y'all know that this pig opted to have the judge decide on this case. So there was no jury trial. And I know y'all understand that. So he exercised his rights. He took a gamble. All right? Now, even though it's still bullshit to me of involuntary manslaughter, but I love hearing the word guilty. And we know it's going to be some bullshit when it comes to the sentencing because they're going to make damn sure that he have a life. But they are so fragile that they don't expect to spend a millisecond confined whatsoever. You know, but you killed my king in a millisecond. And you were angry because he wouldn't listen to your commands. So you go above and beyond and thug your ass out. You're acting on your true ass nature. Now, what we are watching, my royal family, something I knew that I predicted long ago. And now we are seeing it in the now. I say speak in the now. I told you that when they don't get their way, they're going to do just like they women do. Bust out with the Becky tears. What we are looking at is their demise. You got to realize somewhere deep in their subconscious, and they're not even conscious of it, they are done with. We're going to see more. When you start seeing their unquote men crying, they are done. The woman don't have no value because she can't produce. She's a barren bitch. And I've said that more than once. So this is something much deeper. Do you know how other men look at that, let alone men that look just like him, that work in the same field, and you sitting up there busting out in some Becky tears? Do you think he was crying when he slaughtered this man down? These are his 3 babies. They are affected. So I don't give a damn about you and your fucked up ass tears, because as I speak, you get to sit home. As I speak, you get to have Thanksgiving with your family. And even this one that just got off. I'm going to continue to speak in the now, my royal family. Henceforth, nothing will ever work out for people that do this type of shit. And I keep saying there is a cost messing with royalty. And it's going to be a heavy cost henceforth. Enough is enough. See, they deputize themselves and feel like they have authority over us, and we're supposed to listen to their commands. You got us fucked up. We have authority over you. We started all of this stuff. We running shit. We have to be aggressive, my royal family, but we got to be smart in how we move so we don't jeopardize ourselves. But we don't have to do anything. Like I said, just us existing could get us killed. Sleeping doing mundane things. And when they get caught at they shit, they bust out in some tears. You're supposed to be a man about it. You got your gun, you got your arsenal, you got a whole police system, you got a whole system behind you. And you crying for what? You're going to get a slap on the damn wrist. But I take joy in seeing you in this form and fashion. I really do. And it will be more to come. But a society is doomed when you see the men bitching totally out at the end of the day. So, my royal family, what I need you to do is to render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe. Wasn't that juicy, my royal family? Epic, juicy, juicy. Keep crying, bitch.